who was not able to join us.
Thank you, Doc.
Morning, colleagues, wherever you are. My name is Howard Ogo. I'm the Deputy Librarian from Great Zimbabwe University. I'm going to do the welcome remarks on behalf of the librarian who was not able to join us today. And it is my pleasure to welcome you all to this event. I know in various institutions that you are coming from, you have been commemorating open data in various ways. So it is my pleasure to extend that to all of you to do today's webinar on contemporary and timeless topic, which will conclude our celebration for Open Data Month this March. As you all know, the Library Information Fraternity has been engaged in scientific engagements, which has made us to rediscover the way we produce, find, use, and preserve knowledge. And this has, in a way, transformed the way we work, and also has, in a lot of angles, required us to upgrade our learning, to unlearn a lot of things, and also to relearn a lot of contemporary skills, so that we'll be able to successfully navigate the current information and knowledge systems. So it is a great pleasure that we are discussing about these issues today. And I'm also glad that you're all pitched up to share knowledge and have an interactive discussion on this important and contemporary topic. So today, let's prepare to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Thank you very much. Okay, colleagues, also allow me to move to the next part of this session, which is to introduce the guest speaker. So allow me to take that opportunity to introduce our esteemed guest presenter for this session today. And our guest speaker is none other than Professor Colin Takaenge Namo Chisita, who's one of us as a Zimbabwean. But Professor Chisita holds a PhD in library information science. He has been working in the Department of Information Science at the University of South Africa, UNISA, as a research fellow in Pretoria. And also, he has been working at the Dublin University of Technology, Department of Information Systems, and also at the University of Johannesburg in methods, scholarly articles, in addition to co-authoring and co-editing books. So you see, he has been a busy man in terms of as far as the research element is concerned. So Prof. Chisita is a legit of the National Research Foundation of South Africa with a C2 rating for research excellence. So you can see he's a very highly esteemed research person. He has navigated the globe as a presenter and contributed to various LIS programs, in-person presentation and webinars. He's a standing committee member of the IFLA Indigenous Matters section, and also secretary for the African Library and Information Associations and Institutions, AFLIA. So this is a short bio for Prof. Chisita. I know there's a lot of things that I've missed, Prof. So please bear with me. But for the purpose of time, this is what I could gather to introduce you to this session. So over to you, Prof.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Wogo. Yeah, I sent my PowerPoint. I said you should flight it for me. I don't know whether you were able to, so that.
I don't have it from now. Mr. Nyabaza, do you have the PowerPoint presentation?
Unfortunately, I do not have it at the moment.
Ms.
I'm just
Chibaya, do you have
currently
the PowerPoint
coordinating that.
presentation? Let me check from Ms. Chibaya.
It's only that we more often use the Zoom and other platforms. So I'm trying to find out here, but if you can do it on my behalf, that would be okay.
Prof, Ms. Chibaya is currently having a network challenge. Do you mind sharing from that side in the meantime?
Okay.
Using that button, Nyabaza is.
Oh, you said which this after camera?
After
Yes,
the camera, yeah.
yes. After
So
the
it
camera,
doesn't
the
hit
arrow
there.
pointing up.
All right. All right, it's okay.
Then you selected you already opened the presentation, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I've already
You
opened
need
it.
to select
It's
it.
okay.
Yeah. So go back to your
All right.
presentation, not the Google Meet. Go back to your presentation. Then you operate from there.
Okay, are you seeing it now?
Yes, we can see it. So you'll be using your PowerPoint presentation, not the Google Meet to present.
Oh, all right, it's okay.
Yeah, so go back to your presentation and you present then from there.
All right.
Thank you. Over to you, Prof.
All right. Greetings, everyone. The director, Mr. Chikwana, colleagues, friends, students, and everyone who has joined this, what we can call an academic idea exchange session using this platform. It's quite an honor to be able to get such an opportunity to not only share your own ideas, but also to learn from others as well as you interact, because it's not like a one-way process, but it's a reciprocal process as we interact. So my presentation is entitled Future-Proofing Library Systems, Sustainability in a Tech-Driven Open Era. And when we look at libraries, considering their historicity, we have to take into account where they've come from, where we've come from. Firstly, the human being himself is the first manifestation of a memory, and ingenuity, innovations in the form of clay tablets, scrolls in the 1st to 4th century, manuscripts in the 5th century, the Gutenberg press in the 15th century by John Gutenberg, and how it changed the world since then. I think prior to the 15th century, libraries were more private. They were not as democratic as they are in the current era. And it was a privilege to have a library. Education was also a private affair, with the church controlling institutions of learning, on the basis that intellect goes hand in hand with faith, and faith goes hand in hand with intellect. But when John Gutenberg invented the printing press, this changed everything from the 16th century onwards, with education making inroads towards becoming public, industrialization, the birth of new ideas on enlightenment, which were going to take center stage and shape the trajectory of how the world was configured, and also how people thought. So why I emphasized on the foundation is because of its significance and its long-lasting impact. Because up to now, we still hold the printed book with reference. We also have to consider the era of analog preservation in the 20th century, the digital revolution, the open access or transparency era in the 21st century. So all these significant historical milestones must be taken into cognizance in order for us to understand where we are coming from, where we are going, what's the gap between where we are and where we want to go as we move forward into the future. I try to use the social technical systems approach as a theoretical framework because of the fact that it is useful in helping us explain complex interactions between technology and their subsystems. It also helps us to optimize results from the interactions between systems that adopt to human needs rather than human beings adopting to technology. So according to this theory, humans are the foundation for any successful development in terms of technological progress. So social systems, in other words, play a pivotal role in that they guide technical systems. And they are not static, but they're in an era of constant flux because systems evolve over time. And these are not closed systems, but open systems which interact amongst each other, main systems and subsystems. And a participatory approach to the social technical systems requires engagement from all stakeholders, mainly in the context of LIS. We are talking of the users, the librarians, software developers, ISPs, commercial ISPs, non-commercial ISPs in the form of NRENs, and other stakeholders, including policymakers. So technology and social demands. Technology in this context, we are looking at digital transformation, we are looking at open access, we are looking at artificial intelligence, and also accessibility, where we are looking at democratic access or wider access, nationwide access to resources. So these are issues that are at the heart of these systems. They also serve as a pillar of sustainability, ensuring that technology aligns with institutional values and long-term goals of the institution. So that's why I had to choose this. And also the fact that it also links up with the anticipatory technology adoption theories. Those are the guiding lines there, determine the value of the academic library in terms of endless technological change, unpacking the position of libraries in the infosphere, describing the concept of proofing, X-ray and seismic shifts in the academic library trajectory, with a focus on value of transformative technologies, open scholarship, AA adoption, abundant intelligences, research visibility, among others, and recommendations. Right? Basically, the academic library serves as the heart and also the central nerve center. So I had to use the heart and central nerve system metaphor. So in the sense that this is where most of the activities are happening, and this is where you can also gauge the vibrancy, the activity, the energy of the institution. So the internet and emerging technologies, focus on AI technologies, has spared the evolution of academic libraries by the mere fact that the adoption of these new technologies has enabled the revolutions that are continuing as libraries improve for the better. And this confirms, I think, Ranganathan's 5 laws, which is the 50th law, that libraries are growing organisms, biological organisms, in the sense that they've always adapted to technology. I think we remember way back in the late 1990s, the Y2K problem, when people anticipated that with the rise of the internet, there won't be any need for libraries. And some had even started writing obituaries about the demise of the book, the demise of libraries. But surprisingly, through ingenuity and futuristic planning and future proofing, libraries have been able to overcome such fates by rising above the expectations of those who do not foresee the success of libraries in terms of innovation and the role of libraries in innovation. So we find that user needs have also continued to grow, and they've now shifted towards assistance to access specialized information in subscription databases, and the transition of libraries from into hybrid, where we maintain both the physical, that's the brick and mortar edifices, and the digital systems. So the academic libraries remain the central nerve center of the university as they continuously react and respond to stimuli in a progressive way. And this has helped to sustain libraries as key drivers of economic growth, key drivers of progress, and key drivers of sustainable development in a world that is in a state of constant fluctuation, right? Right. Well, our libraries exist in what we can call the infosphere. And the world, the earth as it is, has so many spheres, some which are not prominent, some which are prominent. But among those prominent, you are aware of them: the social sphere, the biosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere, and the atmosphere. So people like Borodin and other scholars like Florid, they came up with the idea of the infosphere. The idea of the infosphere was popularized by Borodin, but it became more popular through Florid. Borodin viewed the infosphere as the sum total of inputs and outputs of conversations, books, television, radio, speeches, church services, classes, lectures, any form of dialogue, and any form of information flows that are received from the physical world through personal observation, even though Florid added other dimensions. So it represents the comprehensive environment encompassing all information, both digital, analog, and where humans exist on life. So libraries are viewed as the essential constituencies of the infosphere, because they act as ethical custodians and access points that preserve, organize, and democratize knowledge in the current era, which we call the digital era, right? So the infosphere, yes. I'll give an illustration of the infosphere in the next slide. I think you can see there the spheres that we have there. That's an illustration according to Balding and Floridi's thesis on the books that they wrote. Then they rewrote, they had to come up with new editions of these books to support this and popularize this idea of the infosphere. So the infosphere, according to them, undermines, not really undermines, but it plays an important role in how we manage the other spheres. So in other words, if we are not having adequate information, we also make wrong mistakes, policies, decisions in how we manage the other spheres. That was also one of their arguments. Right, I'll further illustrate this again. Right, I don't know why I'm trying to move on to the next slide. Right, that's the illustration, which gives a clear illustration there, but I'll just focus on the infosphere. So it's information and communication systems, and libraries are part of those information and communication systems, just like any other institutions, including the media. Digital database and the internet, anything that intersects with the physical spheres for data insights and etc. is viewed as part of that infosphere. So that's according to Balding, Florid, Zuboff, and quite a number of other authors, scholars who popularized this notion of the infosphere. So, having explained this background in which we operate vis-a-vis which sphere are we, and also considering the relationship between the sphere in which we operate with other professionals in ICT, in media, in software engineering, intelligence, systems and etc. We now have to think about future-proofing in the libraries. So what's a future-proof library? It's one that predicts upcoming developments and then enacts policies and technologies to make services more accessible and efficient. And this is a strategy that enables, it's a survival strategy that enables institutions to survive the turbulences that are unanticipated. So future-proofing is planning that averts obsolescence. So I was talking of during the Y2K era, when people were saying the Google era marks a demise of libraries. We just now use Google, but later on they realized that Google is still a disorganized system that can give you some information that lacks reliability, validity, and authenticity. So you need a specialized person with skills in terms of information hygiene to sanitize that information so that it's more palatable to the cognitive processes of a human being. So we are foreseeing change and re-strategizing for it, planning that accommodates change and implements it for opportunity creation within the LIS landscape It's also proactive planning instead of reactive planning. So it requires us to question our preconceptions and embrace technical progress and change and advancement. So it is not accidental but systematic process for positive change. So libraries need to act quickly if they wish to remain viable in a radically different information environment. So it is making systems resilient and long-lasting amidst seismic shifts within the information landscape. So here's an illustration of the processes there, where we talk of it is an active endeavor that meets our present requirements while anticipating and planning for future development. So the phrase future proofing refers to standards that are designed to guarantee the continual accessibility, preservation of libraries and documents of libraries within particular professional. It also involves considering changes in the system's functionality over multiple layers, allowing for modifications to meet future needs. So these are the adjustments that come along the way. So it's also considering selected aspects of the system's future use in the current design so that when the anticipated needs arise, the system will be prepared to accommodate a change. So we have there big data, imagine technologies, data analytics, predictive analytics, among many other things that are part of that future proofing. It is relating to libraries. Right. Then the next slide, we say that the process of this is just a summary of which I wouldn't want to belabor myself, but basically it means we want to it gives us some shock absorbers so that we are not surprised by the future. So we just take the future as something that started yesterday, right? So as you can see there, that's a illustrative illustration of the evolution and how it relates to future proofing. And here I had to include this book is our book that we have done, and it includes some of the people who are there, part of this audience. It's known as Innovating in Libraries, Surviving Technological Lethargy in Times of Endless Transformation, Volume 1. We did it with Dr. Chiparaushe, myself, and Professor Fombad. And we accommodated so many people from all over the continent of Africa, and also as far as Asia and America and other parts of the world. So it is basically looking at future proofing as a strategy on how you can survive this struggle for being in tune with technical progress. So among some of those issues that are topical within this discourse in the current era is that of AI and its as a transformative technology. I think we all know of the benefits that we accrue from adopting these technologies, in the sense that we can use them to do routinous tasks. I won't belabor myself going over word by word, because they say if power corrupts absolutely, then PowerPoint can also corrupt absolutely. So I'll also try to, in some way, just sum it up. So we talk of the value of how these tools can be used, like data analytical tools, predictive analytical tools, data visualization tools, and also, virtual reality, augmented reality, and how we can incorporate them, robotics, and etc., and how we can incorporate them into the our planning for library progress. Then another topical issue again here is the open scholarship. This is an issue that began towards the beginning or the end of the 20th century, but gained momentum towards the beginning of the 21st century. And it has been popularized by so many people, including Arnold Schwartz, who is the writer of the Open Access Guerrilla Manifesto. I think many people have not bothered to read the Guerrilla Manifesto, but the Open Access Guerrilla Manifesto, once you read it, you understand why we talk of open access and why open access became a popular issue. It was also supported by other activists in other progressive places within the world, including America, Russia, and Asia as well, and Africa. So the idea is there on transparency versus secrecy, freedom to access research, data, processes, and outcome of research endeavors. And also the social impact of scientific research and the constitutional right for one to access information. And this has led to UNESCO designating digital content in the form of research as global digital public goods that should be consumed without any need for paying anything. So it's also the basis for creativity, intellectual humility, and ethical consideration, considering the moral value of making information free to all. So we hear Caswell, one of the activists, saying we believe that all human beings are endowed with the capacity to learn, improve, and progress. Educational opportunity is the mechanism by which we fulfill that capacity. Therefore, free, open access to education opportunities is a basic right, and we have a greater ethical obligation than ever before to increase the reach of opportunity. And the librarians are advantaged in the sense that we operate in spheres where we have got access to all the knowledge, but consider someone who do not have, and how we can close the lacunae between those who have access to the banquet of knowledge and those without access to the banquet of knowledge, and how we can bridge that gap. That was the main argument of the activists who were behind the open access movement. And some of them, they even died in a mysterious ways because of the fact that they challenged the status quo, which was based on the principles of privatization and the profit making on the part of the publishers. So the open scholarship is manifested in various ways. For example, the open data, open source software, open educational resources, and other forms of openness using emerging technologies. So it has got a crossing nature, in terms of how societies can be opened rather than be closed. So it's also a means to overcome universities' impermeable ivory tower status or environment. So knowledge openly shared, transparent, rigorous, reproducible, replicable, accumulative, and inclusive is the way forward. So knowledge shared is knowledge gained. I will skip the other things for the sake of time. So that's an illustration of the manifestations of open access with the text, and also the logos to pictorials to indicate, to illuminate the meanings further. Right. There are challenges, however, in terms of in the global south, like in terms of, do we have adequate digital infrastructure, lack of awareness regarding the benefits. So we need for more education, of which library consortia and professional associations are doing their best to educate people. There are also issues to do with data and knowledge sovereignty, not only of knowledge, but also the data and also the information, especially where researchers from the global north come to conduct research in the global south, especially maybe among indigenous people, and they do not engage these indigenous people in an active way. And this has led to what some call the research to death syndrome. People come to us, they take data, they come to us, they take data, but we never hear about them. So there's now a new slogan, which is how can we turn the research to death syndrome into researching ourselves to longevity, especially those in marginalized communities of the indigenous people. Also issues to do the underrepresentation of African scholarship and the journals within the academic scholarly journal landscape, languages and power, institutional support, lack of funding, among other issues. And also this whole open access issue runs totally against what we can call paywalls, because paywalls are what Arnold Schwartz and other activists of the guerrilla open access movement were fighting against, because they undermine access to research findings despite such research being funded by public funding. Now, the NRF in South Africa makes it mandatory that all research funded by the public should be freely be available to the public, and researchers are supposed to upload it in an institutional repository, including the data. And so paywalls continue to represent a substantial barrier to realization of, democratic access to freely access, especially medical knowledge or scientific knowledge that is value. I think we saw this during the COVID crisis, the COVID pandemic. So researchers are impacted not only by paywalls in terms of accessing information, but they are also impacted regarding their ability to have their work widely viewed as well. So when your work is not open access, it's logged somewhere there, its visibility is very low. So this is the call for the need to demolish the paywalls and usher in a new egalitarian model for accessing information. Those are some of the challenges there in terms of AI, artificial intelligence. We'll unpack them, but basically, cost, data privacy, and security. I think I'll emphasize on this, considering that how do we protect personal data in the advent of platform capitalism? How do we protect personal data in the advent of digital capitalism, where platform capitalist companies, Google, Amazon, Facebook, etc., they have had to respond to such requests with regards to the privacy of information, and also issues to do with the bias with AI algorithms and the need for training, among other issues. Then the solution is how do we strike a balance between AI as an emerging technology and human symbiosis? So AI in libraries and related institutions should augment humans rather than replace them. This is why I brought in the social system, technology systems theory, in the sense that it places emphasis on human beings and the design of systems that humans have an input into how these systems will be designed. So this is what we are saying, achieving collaborative intelligence in which AI and humans enhance each other's complementary strengths. So the concept of human AI symbiosis reflects the nexus between what we call the anthropomorphic model of design. So humanity first before thingification. This thingification is associated with technologies that do not have an interest in human beings, but disregard human beings. So the idea is there: how do you strike a balance between technology, people, and ethics? And we have also to interrogate another dimension. Apart from AI, there's another AI, which is AI in the form of abundant intelligences. So abundant intelligences is a new discipline. Focuses on interrogating the epistemological weaknesses or deficiencies of artificial intelligence in terms of its failure to be free from bias, failure to respect, ethics and data privacy of information, among others. So the failure to address these blind spots, the integration of AI into every nook and fish of our societies can radically ensnare economic inequality. So abundant intelligences, indigenous knowledge systems are used to conceptualize and design artificial intelligence. So we are saying AI is based on a positivist epistemology that is emanated from the global north. But how do we also incorporate an epistemology of the global south, an epistemology that can humanize technology for the benefit of all? So abundant here refers to change from the future to a multitude of futures, indicating a move away from limited notions of intelligence in AI research paradigms. It also considers a variety of intelligent behaviors exhibited by humans and non-humans. So it's like saying there are alternative ways of knowing. There's no one way of knowing, but there are multitudes of ways of knowing, multitudes ways of knowledge. The positivist form of knowledge, empiricist, the indigenous knowledge system, the use of decolonial theories to create a balance, what we call epistemic balance in the way how we perceive and use knowledge to solve problems. Then we also come to the issue of our institutional repositories in the future, and they've quite significant progress has been made, especially in Africa and throughout the world, but also in Africa, including here in Zimbabwe, with most of our academic libraries having established these digital platforms. And but however, there are new developments as well as we go up. There is what is known as the Core Trust Seal. It's a certification that is gaining popularity among data repositories to demonstrate credibility and trustworthiness of information. So in Africa, there are only two universities, the University of Cape Town and the Cape University of Cape Peninsula University, that have this Core Trust Seal. Core Trust Seal is given after thorough documentation, just like as you do what we can call ISO preparation for ISO certification or certification by the Standards Association, etc. So there are certain requirements that an academic library is supposed to fulfill in terms of trustworthiness, traceability of its data, which is what is known as provenance. So it implies also establishing a research data management policy, a research data manager, and ensuring that researchers also deposit their data is just as they deposit their actual research. So IRAs are very useful because they make information accessible and archive research outputs from the parent institution. So there's growing demand for data to be made available in fair, aligned IRAs. So that's to what extent our IRAs findable, accessible, discoverable, and to what extent is our data also findable, accessible, discoverable, shareable, preservable, and etc. So these are some of the things that the core trust seal. So the core trust seal is just started as a new initiative, and also the Make Data Count, where its emphasis on building research data management repositories. And another issue here is also how do we link future proofing with futures literacy. So understanding futures literacy means being aware of the different types of anticipatory systems. So how do we envisage or imagine the future in various ways for different reasons, and exploring and preparing for possible futures, identifying preferred futures, and exploring what will be necessary to bring them into being. So it means our libraries are moving towards an era where you need to make use of technology and also make use of human intelligence to plan and to foresee the direction that libraries are going. So cultivating futures literacy allows academic libraries to recognize change creatively, and the future proofing will keep libraries relevant and resilient. So that's the relationship between futures literacy and future proofing. So future literacy provides tactical vision to libraries to anticipate changes in like publication, what are going to be the changes, open science, student learning, use of technology, among many other things. And another issue here is research visibility. I think you still remember long back we used to say publish or perish, and then it became publish or perish, self-archive and flourish. And this has seen so many authors now, researchers now, being rated on the basis of how much content they are producing. So visibility is also come with like personal, digital identifiers, the ORC ID, identities, presence on social academic networking sites, ResearchGate, Academic Edge, Figshare, Web of Science, Semantic Scholar, the list is endless, Kudos, and etc. So it's the extent to which a researcher work is accessible, recognized, and referenced beyond their field. So the visibility of research goes beyond publishing in academic journals. It also means ensuring that it is discoverable, accessible, retrievable, shareable, and influential in academia, in the general public, and business. So in the academia, research is linked to citation and metrics. And in industry, research visibility correlates to collaboration with organizations. And in terms of the general public, research visibility highlights challenging findings for a larger audience, assisting in the formulation of policies, public awareness, and urgent issues, as well as supporting well-informed decision-making or evidence-based decision-making. So research visibility links up with the expectations of funding agencies who are interested in researchers with high degree of visibility or in terms of impact, rather than sleeping researchers who have no impact at all, or what was referred to as titles without merit. Right? So there's rising emphasis on research impact is key to securing funding and partnership within the academy. Then another issue also has to do with, as we adopt these new technologies, the coloniality of technology. Like, for example, technological zombification, the inebriation of the masses with the technology. This was popularized by a guy known as Ted Kaczynski. He wrote several books like Technology and Slavery, Technology and the Future, and he also wrote his own manifesto, which was critiquing technical progress in the name of profit making. But he wrote so many books, and he was in the end in conflict with the United States government, and he ended up dying mysteriously as well. But he was disillusioned by the way technology was progressing. So other issues also like data capitalism, the rise of independent information enterprises using algorithms, and also the rise of the extractive culture where people, institutions like platform capitalist institutions mine personal and private data and then commoditize it for a price. And also the issue of the technological apocalypse, the prediction that if these technologies fail, what are we going to do? It sounds scary, but it's questions that even Ted Kaczynski, he was a professor, was also asking, but he ended up abandoning his role as a professor, and he became a rogue element fighting against big business. So there's also the need for people-centered technological adoption approach. That's why I brought in the science systems technology, social technology system, STS theory, and emerging technologies and human symbiosis, futures literacy, and how we transform our library spaces from spectacular to spectacular spaces through new spatial reconfiguration of both the physical and the digital spaces. And this covers also the tyranny of technology. This was also popularized by Ted Kaczynski, where he talked of the Janus phase, the two-phased nature of technology because of issues to do data surveillance, privatization of data, techno dependence or addiction, exacerbation of digital inequalities, loss of autonomy and authority, and the techno apocalypse that we talked about. Now, to conclude on this, ladies and gentlemen, I think I have tried to take us from time immemorial right through the progress to the Industrial Revolution after the 15th century to the modern era in which we are, which is the technology-driven era. So libraries, as steward of knowledge, must acknowledge the influence of historical legacies on both their collections and the information that is omitted. So this is like a growing call for epistemic justice. How do we also build our own? So open access provides that opportunity to build content through open educational resources and also promoting local publications. And investigating the foreseeable implications of integrating technology in various library environments, i.e. user-centric designs, and its role for developing inclusive services that consider humans as humans, because there's no way even artificial intelligence robots can talk and do all things that humans can do, but they can never assume the status of a human being, of what we can call personhood, because they still remain robots. Foster more inclusive and decolonial library practices and services. It is imperative that we explore all aspects of this area of library and information science. And this will help us to strengthen the epistemologies of the global south with regards to LIS, even though it's also being done in other disciplines. But we are here looking at our LIS because that's where we revolved. And also the fact that LIS is overarching, it's multidisciplinary. And also the idea to challenge the dominance of experts in research, because the notion of experts remains grounded in what we can call the credentialed academic and financial bodies or official Western qualifications and positions. This means that we have to redefine education. As we do research, there are indigenous people who have got knowledge, but they don't have credentials that the modern people talk about. So we have to embrace the uncredentialed wisdom that comes from the universities of life and the universities of the people. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I end my presentation. Hello. Hello.
Hello, Prof. We are listening. Thank you so much,
I
Prof.
say, oh, okay, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Prof, for that presentation. I must say I'm overwhelmed. Colleagues, can you hear me?
We can. I
Yes,
can
we
hear.
Loud and clear. We can.
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yes, thank you very much, Prof. Thank you very much for those insights.
I didn't want to make it long because of the fact that you need space for dialogue. We are dialogical beings, you know. We're not, there to dictate certain pieces of information.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. And on that note, I will call upon colleagues who've got questions or who want to add on to what Prof. Chisita has just presented. You can show by raising up your hand and we can proceed. Let's converse, colleagues. We are social beings, and I'm sure you've got questions for Prof or for anyone. Let's converse. Let's ask questions. Let's interact.
Yeah, let's cross-pollinate each other's mental faculties with, idea exchange.
There is a hand, Mrs. Melba Stwala. You can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you so very much, moderator. Mine is not a question, but just to applaud the organizing team, the Great Zimbabwe University Library, and our keynote speaker, Prof. Chisita, who remains a mentor to me and many of other information professionals. Job well done, and I think this is the way to go. When we talk about open science, open access, redefining how we should envision the Africa that we wish to live in and to see, partnership and collaboration is the way to go. Because I think from the presentation that he has delivered, emphasis on something that stood out for me, especially librarian working in a private institution. Many things that are hindering us from evolving, embracing the new norm, are lack of skills. And I think I should applaud the university librarian for really coming out so strong in his welcoming remarks, where he said these sessions are meant to help us upscale our skills. The business as usual way of doing things is long gone. We need to evolve with the latest trends. We need to be intentional with our personal growth. So I just wanted to thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those appreciation remarks, Mrs. Twala. We truly appreciate your attending this webinar. The purpose really as librarians and academics is to learn, to unlearn, and to relearn. So that is the purpose of this webinar. I have seen another hand, Dr. Kleinos Chidoko. You can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you. I wanted to comment on the nice presentation that we have learned a lot from the presentation. Mine is just an inquisitive question for the professor. What's the future of hard copy textbooks in this digital world or digital age?
Thank you for the question, Dr. Chidoko. I'll hand over to Prof. To respond.
All right, thank you so much, everyone there for the contributions. My sister there, Meropa, is from the land of the brave, Namibia. Thanks also to Dr. Chidoko. Yes, the future of the physical book as it stands, I think there's been a lot of enthusiasm about the digital copies. But from my experiences in publishing, especially when I do books, I find that my publishers will do physical books, and they will ask me, do you want us to send you physical or electronic copies? I've seen this with Emerald. I've seen this with Springer. I've seen this with Bloomberry. I've seen this with Cambridge. I've seen this with Oxford. I've seen this with KG de Gruyter. I've seen this with Palgrave and Macmillan and many others. So I think the world in which we are entering into, it's not yet time for us to think about the demise of the book. Because while space for digital books might be decreasing in certain circumstances, especially in those libraries or academic libraries that are resource endowed and that have also built capacity to educate their users on how to navigate, digital platforms and etc. You might find that yes, there might be a decline, but not a reduction, but not a decline. And in some cases, there's also the issue that people prefer printed books. I've been working with authors. When we publish, then sometimes the contributor, I ask them, do you want a physical or an electronic? They say, no, I need a physical. And even here in South Africa, what they do is that, you see, researchers do research, but then you have to submit outputs to the Department of Higher Education at the end. Then the Department of Higher Education will verify how reliable are those publications, because they're trying to avoid predatory publishers. So they will also ask for a copy. Initially, they were asking for a physical copy. So you would give them a physical copy. Then after some time, you would come and take it back. So now they've made it more liberal. They say, okay, give us a digital or a physical copy. And also the idea that, there's what we call the aroma of a physical book, especially if it's a new one. In library term, they call it what, bibliosmia or something. That aroma in itself is just, has got a therapeutic, I don't know, some form of catharsis on the mind, when you pick the radar of that aroma. I can't call it a smell, because a smell might be misconstrued for an odor. But this is the sweet smell of a new book. And people are more comfortable with a book in the sense that you can do anything with a book. You can lie down, you can do this. There's a story told of a child being given, they say, imagine it's 2050, and you give a child a book, then the child asks you, which button should I print? that points to a ghastly future. But considering the digital divide, we still need printed books. So for now, I can say yes, publishers are doing both. And even though we now more accustomed to reading digital content rather than analog.
Thank you very much for that response, Prof. I'm sure, Dr. Chidoko, you have been answered. Prof mentioned that books, we still need books because they complement the digital resources. A few weeks back, I came across a headline in one of the newspapers, which stated that in 2009, Sweden replaced textbooks with screens. Then 15 years later, they are now spending 120 million to bring the physical books back. So it means we still need those physical books. We still need to they are there to complement even our digital and electronic resources. Let me give, do you have a follow-up question, Dr. Chidoko?
Oh, it's not a follow-up question, but just thank you. Have been answered. Thank you so much, Prof. I like the part where you talked of the aroma of a new book. I like hard copies myself, and I've seen that. I've seen that the advent of the soft copies is somehow, to some extent, killed the reading culture amongst the most students, even academics. Whether the reading culture is no longer like what we used to do. We used to have names like bookworms and so on. So I'm happy that you have answered it well, and I would just pray that the hard copies will continue to be there. Thank you so much for the response.
I think we share the same common denominator because I also like hard books, and I also of the same opinion that sometimes digital resources kill the reading culture because students just go for what can answer their question. They won't bother about reading much, and this has resulted in a decline of the reading culture, and this also creates a scenario where we risk developing into what we call the literate illiterates.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. I hope we have all been answered. And let me hasten to give this opportunity to Tendai Madzinga. Your hand has been up. You can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can
thank
hear
you. Okay, firstly, I would like to thank the organizers of the event and also the presenter for this excellent presentation. I actually learned a lot, but I have got, it's not really a question to Professor Chisita, but it can be a question to all of us as people in the information field. I have observed that most institutions, if I'm to talk about Southern Africa, with the issue of repositories, we have got repositories where most universities and even some institutions of higher learning which are not at the level of universities. But there is when it comes to data repositories, the pace is not like you would find in repositories where we put our thesis and things like that. What is really happening? Are we not? why is the pace different? We don't have much data repositories as we have, as the case with the institutional repositories for other academic products. That's my question. Thank you.
All right. Can I try to answer that? Then even I would also want someone else to come in to make it more democratic. From my experience, I have noticed that, you see, the general or whatever specific repositories, they were the ones that were initially developed. Then the concept of research data came in as a new development from funders. So you find that when this concept of research data management became more pressing, institutions had to appoint research data managers. And these research data managers had to do a retrospective, adopt a retrospective strategy, and even write to researchers, say, you know, you published articles in 20 what, can you send your data? And people had to send in their data. Some were saying, no, the data that I was using, I was using an institutional email, so I'm no longer at that institution, so the data is logged there, unless you give me the right to access the email. So it's something that has begun, but not many institutions have research data managers and research data management policies. I don't know if anyone can also add something to that.
Thank you very much, Prof. Is there anyone who wants to add on to the issue of research data management repositories? Yes, it's quite a contemporary issue in libraries, especially in scholarly communication. Research data repositories are now, it's now a requirement by funders for researchers to deposit or to submit their research data. Now researchers are more implored to be answerable for their research. They need to be accountable for the research that they come up with. I think that's the whole essence of these research data management repositories. A colleague was just telling me a few days ago that they also intend to set up a research data repository, and so far I'm sure they'll be traveling to Ethiopia to just to learn from Ethiopia. I don't know if anyone else has got a repository at the moment, but I was informed that in Ethiopia they are now using Zenodo as their research data repository. And in some instances, maybe they are there who are using Figshare, which is a paid database, and I don't know if here in the Global South, many of our libraries can afford. So I don't know if there is anyone else who wants to respond to the issue of research data repositories. I see a hand there. There is no name. It's just Great Zimbabwe University. You can go ahead and unmute yourself if you are responding to the issue of research data management repositories.
Before I can answer, I can see Mr. Mauroa, your hand was up before me. Would you like to speak first before I continue?
Thank you very much. Thank you, the organizers. Thank you, Prof. Chisita, for the insightful presentation. Mine is just a question maybe on AI. There's now talk of what they call the race to the bottom, where research is actually now being watered down by use of artificial intelligence tools. How do you foresee the quality of research as we go forward, influenced by the use of artificial intelligence?
Oh, is that a question, sir?
Yes, look at the future of research, the quality of research.
Okay. Yeah, from my own understanding is that artificial intelligence should be an enabler, like a tool to use to conduct research, like data analytics tools, predictive analytic tools, data visualization tools. But they should be what we can call responsible AI use. Responsible AI use, which will imply that whether you conduct research, whether you are a reviewer of research, and if you see now you are a reviewer of research articles, they will also tell you that don't use AI, because there are some reviewers who will, you ask them to review, then just use AI to do the review. Within a short space of time, they give feedback. So many publishers becoming aware of that, including MRI, including MPI, etc. So I would rather see what we call responsible AI use, because yes, machines AI can do research, but the human factor should be the driving force in how that research is conducted.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for the response.
Thank you,
Yes.
Prof. And so we need to maximize and adopt AI, not to replace human beings, but like what Prof mentioned earlier on, is to augment our efforts as humans. So the use of AI should also be it should also be guided by integrity. So there is the ethical use of artificial intelligence, which we must at all times guide even our researchers as librarians. It's our mandate to guide them in that regard. I'll give this opportunity to Ms. Nyabaza. Your hand is up.
Thank you once again. I'll just like to direct everyone to the chats. We have another question. I hope this is a question. Constructive agreements are known to enhance the open access drive. However, in some schools of thought, they are only cheap, but will prove costly in the long run. Your thoughts?
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Nyabaza. Prof, would you like to respond to the statement or the question?
Yeah, I agree with that. That maybe the way they are cheap is maybe more of a penetration strategy. In the sense that, like here in South Africa, these are coordinated through SANLIC, with South Africa National Library Consortia. So yes, we have been benefiting from them in the sense that we are allocated our slots and we use them, and we don't pay article processing fees. So yes, that possibility is there, because look at even how academic age as a academic social networking site started. It was free from any monetary gain, but now it asks you that so many people who maybe viewed your profile, would you like to know who those people are, pay this money, etc. So that possibility is always there. And I think that's an area for further research. Maybe, Mr. Rufiji, you could bring in and share with us the nitty-gritties with regards to this, your futuristic perspective of these transformative agreements.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you for that. I'm sure we are still experiencing some challenges in the global south, trying to adopt the openness in scholarship. So we still need to be guided in that regard. There is a hand, Leonard Tangeni. You can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you so much, Deborah, and allow me to sincerely appreciate the organizer and specifically Prof. Chisita for this insightful presentation. It's really eye-opening, and we are learning in the process. I wanted to come in on the issue of the AI to say that, AI has so much potential to offer for Africa and libraries at large, but it presents an opportunity for us to really look into our operations and be able to possibly also review our training programs in terms of promoting instead of preventing the use of AI. So we should, as librarians, be capacitated to be able to provide the skills to these scholars and postgraduate students and students at large on how they can effectively and ethically use the artificial intelligence, because it is there to stay and it will continue to grow. And we cannot deny that reality. It is for us to rather learn on how we can optimize it for our benefit and for the future of our institution. The second point I wanted to come in on the issue of transformative agreement. Yes, they are helping, but also they are not helping us from the developing, from the global south. The reason I'm saying that is because transformative agreements are basically there to still build on the colonial ecosystems of knowledge production, if I can say so, in a sense that only major publishers that benefit from such transformative agreements, because small publishers cannot afford to implement such agreements. And also that the transformative agreements specifically are there to sustain the existing premium publishing ecosystem, in a sense that they are not fully supporting the open access journals, but they are there to promote the use still of what they are calling hybrid journals, which are still benefiting from the already subscriptions and that libraries are paying. So in actual sense, there is no weaving of APC, because we are negotiating to publish for free in journals that we are already paying for as subscribing libraries. So the open access journals, the fully open access journals still suffer from the article processing charges, although they claim to put a small percentage of discount it does not mean so much for African countries like the University of Namibia, Zimbabwe, and all other countries. And that is the reality. So that transformative agreement still needs to be relooked and to be transformed to benefit African scholarship. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Anna. Thank you for joining us from Namibia. Thank you for your input. Would you like to comment, Prof?
Yeah, yes, thank you so much, my sister, because this is what I also highlighted in when I talked of the coloniality of knowledge, because we still have that dialectical relationship between the global north and the global south, whereby resources are siphoned from the global south to cushion off systems that are in the global north. And our smaller open access publishers find it very difficult to compete with the already established publishers who dominate these agreements. So I concur with you in that sense that yes, they still need to relook into these models and agreements, and also to have more input from librarians within the global south who are engaged in this transformative agreement, since they know where the real problem lies and where the disadvantage is, and by knowing that, they can use that as a best alternative to a negotiable agreement, and coming up with a new model that does not disadvantage but empowers us in the global south. Thanks a lot, my sister, for that.
Thank you very much for your response, Prof. So what comes to mind is the issue of collaboration. So it means we still need to come back to the drawing board with the policymakers, librarians, researchers, and publishers to come up with workable solutions in that regard. Thank you so much for all your insights and your input. Mr. Nyabaza, are there any other questions?
Do not any other questions in the chat and in my office?
And I don't see any hands at the moment. It means we are all happy, we are all satisfied, and as librarians, information practitioners, researchers, I want to believe that we have really learned from what Prof. Chisita has imparted upon us, and he has also given us a task to relearn, especially with regards to extra knowledge spheres as librarians in terms of data analytics, data visualization, virtual reality. I am really challenged to learn more and explore those avenues in order to enhance myself professionally, so that I can be able to future-proof my profession as a librarian. So thank you very much for your presentation, Prof. Chisita. So if there are no further questions or contributions, I think my task ends here. Is the question and answer session ends here, and I will hand over back to our program director. Thank you very much. Mr. Nyabatsa, you can go ahead with the reflections and key takeaways.
Thank you so much. This was such a fulfilling presentation from Prof. Chisita. I'm already jumping over to multiple people that I'm remembering. The shock is just too much for me because, to be honest, our presenter, Prof. Chisita, you really hit the nail on the head when it comes to open data. And I'm just thinking, if we are to take note of what has been said with regards to the changing landscape and how open data is important to us, for the techies, especially those in the systems, I think for us, we are overloaded with joy with regards to knowing about core trust and the additional platform, which is Make Data Count. And I feel that there is a lot of work for us to do as librarians, especially with regards to getting our databases indexed. Our journals as well. I think what has been observed by the guests and their concerns being expressed in this forum has opened a lot of eyes, and I believe that soon we shall be expressing this with our voices in chats and discussing on the concerns that we have with regards to the direction we are going in the Global South. I feel as though from the presentation, Prof. Chisita had also touched on the need for us to be professional, as well as the issues to do with ethics when it comes to the use of AI. And we have discussed partially on the issue of transformative agreements. I think this one is going to be something that people will still feel the need to address this issue later. But this being just one of the other issues being discussed, I think, Prof. Chisita, you've really helped us gain a much more clear understanding of where we stand and where we should be going and headed. And it was really nice to have a bit of a recap on the 5 laws of librarianship and the importance that we play as librarians, especially our role as librarians and how we should play it to the fullest. I hope that I've covered some of the major issues. I do not wish to dilute the main core things that were presented by Prof. Chisita. And I shall say this invasive thought that I believe some people in the chat are saying in their hearts, when do we get the presentation? So that one, I hope that once the presentation is shared, we shall be guided with regards to how to share this presentation. I hope that I have done justice to my part without diluting what Prof has presented on, as well as some of the topical issues that he's managed to discuss with our guests and esteemed delegates. I will then hand over for the vote of thanks, and I wish to thank everyone for being on time. It was wonderful to see a lot of people attending exactly at 5 minutes to. We were a bit surprised, believing everyone will just stick to the exact time of 11. Thank you.
May I have just sent my email address in the chat box. For those of you who would be interested in receiving Prof. Chisita's presentation, I'll just spell it out. It's dchibaya@gzu.ac.zw. dchibaya@gzu.ac.zw. For those of you who will be interested in Prof. Chisita's presentation. Thank you very much. I'll now hand over to Mr. Tendai for the vote of thanks and closing remarks. Thank you very much, colleagues.
Thank you very much, Deborah, and good afternoon, colleagues. My task is very simple, just to give the vote of thanks and the closing remarks. So I'll start with the closing remarks. My hope is that we have all unlearned, relearned, and we have learned quite a lot of things. And thank you very much, Prof, for the great presentation. What I picked from your presentation is that you first of all gave us a background of libraries, where we started as libraries and then where we are now. And you also emphasized that the library was the heart and pulse of the university. And you also acknowledged that libraries have adapted and they've always adapted to technology. And we are hoping that in future, libraries will still adapt to technology. And then you also mentioned that in terms of future-proofing libraries, a future-proof library is a library that can actually predict upcoming developments and upcoming events, and then it enacts policies or technologies to make services more accessible and more efficient. And then it also makes systems that are resilient and which enables it to minimize shocks and stresses of future events. And then I think on the recommendations from the various participants, there was an issue of the need to relook into open access models. I think we all need to relook into open access models, like the current open access models, they tend to favor the global north. So we are simply saying there's need to relook into those transformative agreements. And then the Prof also mentioned the need to redefine education. I think I like this point where we are saying we need to relook and say what exactly is education? How do we embrace indigenous knowledge, particularly as universities? We are looking at knowledge maybe from people who are not qualified in courts, there. Maybe your grandfathers. How do you get knowledge from them? And then there was also the need to use AI responsibly. And then there was also the point where it was said that AI should work as a complementary. It should complement the human effort rather than replacing the human effort. So those are my photo of thanks. So I want to thank all the library team, the GZU library team, for organizing this this webinar. I think it was a very successful webinar. We all enjoyed. And then I also want to thank our IT team for making sure that our systems were up and running. And then I would also want to thank all the presenters and also all the participants for participating in this webinar. Thank you very much. I now hand over the powers to the program director. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, colleagues. It was good to see colleagues in Namibia, Mrs. Twala, Anna. It was good to have you in the webinar. Thank you, Dr. Chidoko. Thank you, everyone who might not be able to mention you all by name, but we truly appreciate the conversation that took place. And I'm sure everyone has got something to take away and to reflect upon as we future-proof our libraries. Thank you so much, everyone. Dr. Hogo, do you have anything to say before we close? Thank you very much, colleagues. Thank you, Prof.
Thanks to you, thanks to everyone and our wonderful sisters from Namibia. Thank you so much for being with us to share knowledge and also give us your insights. And thanks to everyone who participated. We really appreciate this going forward.